Hey.
Hello.
Misfits Managed Nation. We are here.
We are here. We are here indeed.
I love it. I love it. I love saying that.
I all I want to do is be like, Nation.
I know. Well, we got to get a logo for that. Yeah, Misfits Managed Nation. Misfits, man, that's a mouthful to say. Jesus.
Uh-huh.
I talk fast sometimes. So, Misfits Managed Nation. Look at that. Shannon is
Hi,
already
Shannon.
jumping in here. Look at that, man.
I love
Uh,
that.
yeah, welcome, Shannon. We're glad you're here, sis. And we got to get with her um, because
Yes.
Shannon has a powerful story that I'm hoping Izzy and James from AYPN have recorded. I don't know that per se yet, but I'm hoping they can, and we can steal some of make some inserts of that into our show and interview her.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that's going to be powerful. She's got a great story. I don't know her story. I'm just trusting what she's saying. And the little bit I know about her is
All right.
powerful. So,
I'm in for
um,
that.
yeah, we got to get her. I got so many ideas for different people, but um, how are
Bursting
you?
at the seams, are we?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I guess I'll go first then, since you said that. This is my first day that I feel like I entered the show in a while that I didn't have it wasn't a traumatic day. I just was going kind of back and forth in a text message deal, but I just laugh at that now because I've evolved and changed, and the other person hasn't. And if anything, it just makes me sad. But that's not my
Yeah.
problem. That's their problem. So, um, yeah, I just had a good day. I'm still on a high. Had a kind of emotional roller coaster with it, but
Yeah.
I got to hold my grandson yesterday.
Yay.
Yeah, 7 pounds 1 ounce, 19 inches. Got
Oh.
to hold my first grandson. I have seven now, seven grandkids, and uh, what? She's working on her date. God's timing. I like that, Shannon. Uh, but yeah, my first grandson yesterday, and he was so precious. And I went in there, trying to be poised and strong, and it's just something about babies and kids, man, that just break you down. And it was hilarious because when my girls heard me, I have a 4 and a 2-year old there, granddaughters. When
Yeah.
they heard me coming in talking to their dad, my eldest son, Dante, they started, Poppy's here. Poppy, I'm just hearing my name popping out in their conversation. Their aunt was bathing them. But when they heard Poppy was there, they were yelling my name. It was funny. Really warmed my heart.
Oh. I love
But
that your
so
name is Poppy. That's cute. I like it.
well, my middle son, his wife, is Guatemalan. So she
Oh.
asked me, could I, pick a name that would be, in their culture for their girls.
I like it.
So she had two girls before Dex and her got married, and then they had two together. So um, I picked there's Jennifer.
Hi, Jenny.
Yes, babes are precious gifts from God. Yes, they are. So I picked that. I actually had her. I said, "You tell me what you want them to call me," and she picked Poppy. So I was like, "Done." So all of them call me Poppy. Yeah.
I like that.
So it was such a fulfilling day, and maybe some of you guys are like, this guy's all excited. He's got six other grandbabies, but number one, it's the first boy, so that's super exciting
Oh.
because the Newsom name now continues because I know my granddaughters are gorgeous and they'll be married and their names will change. Um, um, but the reconciliation between my son and I, to a point now, he welcomed me and wanted me to be a part of the birthing and the development and training up of his son. So, I mean, the Lord has just really come full circle in that
Yeah.
relationship for me. So, man, when you deal with something like that, when you deal with people like my message I was just talking about, it's just crazy and nonsense. I mean, you just laugh at people. You just kind of got to laugh at people because they're stuck.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, but it's not funny, you know? So, That's been my day. So I actually had a cancellation after cancellation today at work,
Yeah,
and that freed up time for me to just get caught up and clear my head on some things and
those
do
are
some
good
training.
days.
It was a really good day. So for the first time, I enter the show like, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah.
Got a new favorite commercial and everything, and I'd love to hear Lawrence thought about it since you were talking about kids and everything. Because I think I've seen this commercial a few times. As y'all know, I don't have any kids, but I do have nephews, and there is a commercial that's out there on a commercial network. I actually saw it because I think it might be one of the sponsors for the Olympics and everything. But it is a young kid that apparently, when he was first going to school, he was wanting all dinosaur outfits and all along those lines. So now he is into sharks, and so he's like saying that that was my dino period. So now I'm in my shark period, and it closes with him leaving out with a shark book bag and all along those lines. So as you folks that have got kids and everything, I was just wondering y'all's take on that because, like I said, that has become one of my new favorite commercials because the kid is definitely one of those cute like kids and everything. But it's just interesting that he comes out and he's like, yeah, dinos was so that year and everything, and now I'm into my shark period and all along those lines. So he's getting his parents to go to the shop and to buy shark outfits and everything. It might even be for one of the grocery stores like Target or Tarjay, as some people call it, and everything. But
RJ.
I was just wondering y'all's take on that notion because a lot of folks, this is uh, August and just got out of July and everything, and that means that the kids will start going to school and buying those school gifts and everything. And I know you are a mother, and I know you're a grandparent and everything, Coach D. So I just
I'm a
wanted your
poppy.
take of
I'm a
this.
poppy.
A
Poppy,
puppy.
get it right, Mark.
I'm
You're
not a
a puppy.
grandparent. I'm a
No,
poppy.
you're a
Get it
puppy.
right, Mark. Now get it right.
You're a puppy. And speaking of which,
Uh-oh.
that was actually one of the conversations with one of our uh, presidential candidates because we know that she is not a natural mother. She is a stepmother. And apparently, when she got these two wonderful kids of hers, she wanted them to call her a name. And I think the name that they have given her is Mamala or something like that and everything. But that's the name that Kamala Harris goes by. You can look it up.
Wow.
But her stepkids, they actually, when she joined, they have that blended family with her now husband Doug Ermoff and his ex-wife Kirsten, I think is her name, and everything. But yeah, when they started dating and became a power couple, Doug Ermoff and now our presidential candidate, the kids wanted to come up with a nickname that they felt would be appropriate for somebody who was going to be their uh, mother-like figure, even though they had a mother that they were very much attached to. So they came up with that term. I'll look it
Mark
up.
with all these facts, man. I don't know any of that stuff.
I don't
mean,
either.
I know obviously who she is, but I've never really dug into her that deep. But yeah, I'm like, okay, little
Just
history
sharing it with
lesson
you and
tonight,
everything.
but okay.
What about your take on the notion of getting the kids these school supplies? Like the original part of what I was asking you was this whole notion of the kids running off and it's school supply time, probably starting now, but definitely as we get ready to head into September.
Well, so on the backpack question,
Yeah.
um, I've kind of both of my boys have kind of gone back and forth on the things that they like, and obviously it's kind of dependent on
That's a song.
what their friends are like and what's at school, everything, or like even the activities that they go do. Because, like I know locally here, there's been a couple like fun dinosaur exhibits at in downtown Kansas City, and we've taken the boys to that, and some of them are very lifelike. On the other hand, I've talked about Cooper before with his Lego obsession, and um, that he goes in and out with that, but I I really try to just play into whatever they're into because I don't want to force anything on him. And there are things that I'm like, there was at one point that I attempted to kind of force Cooper into taekwondo, and he was really excited about it because I was like, yeah, it's going to be I think it'd be good for you. I think it would be good to be able to like get some energy out. And he went to one, but it moved too slow with him, and he couldn't do it. He hated it, and so we did like a handful of classes, and um, like it was a point that I was like forcing him to do it, and I'm like, I don't. That shouldn't be how it goes. And like I was talking to my husband later, and he was like, he goes, was it Cooper who wanted to do this, or was it you? And I was like, yeah, yeah, you caught me on that, and it was me who wanted him to do it. And so now I'm very conscious about, is this me wanting it for them, or is this just something they have that childlike interest in? Because I don't want them, I want it to take them as long as possible to lose that childlike playful imagination and whatever they like or are interested in, because it gets pounded out by life so fast that I want
Right,
them to keep
right,
that as long as possible.
right. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good, Lauren.
That makes a lot of sense and everything. Because I'm going to share a story. I might have shared it with you before, Coach, and everything. And my nephews would probably be mad that I'm bringing it up because it happened almost 7 years ago, and they are about to be 15 and 16 this month and everything. But my nephews play team sports. They're into like soccer, and they're into I think they were doing flag football. But I do remember one of the soccer matches. It was probably when they were just getting into it, and they were like around 7 or 8, and I had gone to watch that match with their parents, with their grandparents, my parents, as well as some of the other relatives on the other side of their family and everything, including their mother, as well as I think some of her family as well. And I remember my nephew, I think it was the oldest one, because they are Julius and Langston. And there was a match, they were playing the match, and all of a sudden, I think they were even winning the match and everything. The game got called, and it got called because of time and everything. And what I vividly remember is that my nephew proceeded to throw a temper tantrum, and both him and me and everybody else were looking at him, going like, "One, we don't know why you're throwing a temper tantrum. You actually won the game, and you're winning the game and everything." But it was that notion of he didn't want the game to end. He was having so much fun, and all along those lines, that's why the temper tantrum took place and everything, because he's going like,
Yeah.
I'm having such a good time that he wanted the game to continue, even though it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about the participation at that moment and everything. So as parents, y'all might have some thoughts around that, because I just remember that, and it still sticks with my mind, even though that happened about 6, 7 years ago. And like I said, they're teenagers now. They'd probably be like, "Mark, shut up. You're Uncle Mark. You don't need to tell that story for the upteeth time and everything." But just your take on this notion of being excited about participation versus being excited about whether you're winning or losing.
G, you're the coach. You got anything on that?
No.
Yes, you do.
I don't know. Go ahead. I'll let you go first on that one.
I will say so I grew up in a very competitive household, and
Ditto.
we like I seriously think I played just about everything. My mom tried to get me to do dance and gymnastics, and unfortunately for her, fortunately for my dad, that did not happen. But when we were signed up for something, we were expected to do all of the classes until you hit the recital or the last one or whatever. If you signed up for any sport, you were expected to obviously do the practices and the games. And it's very interesting to think about that as when I was a kid compared to me trying to figure out what my kids like now, because I find myself being like, okay, like you're 5 and 6, but if we're going to sign you up for this, you are going to do all of them, and you're going to learn the concept of finishing what you started.
Man, I love that. Boy, that speaks volumes.
Right. But on the other hand, it's hard because I'm like, if they don't like it, I'm like, I understand that you don't like it, but you need to finish it, and then we can choose something else. But it's hard to force them to go do something that, they tried and then they didn't like just because they need to finish what they started. So I'm like, I'm on it's weird, but they also just need to learn that concept. So, um, yeah, fine line there.
Well, I think it's an important lesson to be
Yeah.
taught, and the younger that you start that lesson, the better, because the less you have to teach that lesson.
Yeah.
I think I want to say, I don't know if it's actually, I have to look that up. I don't know if there's a scripture in the Bible. I know I've been taught this, but actually I need to go look it up because I don't know if it's actually biblical. Now that I'm about to quote this because I couldn't remember the scripture, but basically the gist of it is talking about that a child should be, and I think it's scientifically taught and proven or whatever, but a child should be taught I won't say all the things that they need to know, but right and wrong, really
Mm-hmm.
some really deep, important lessons by the time they're three. So
3?
three, yeah, I mean, a child knows at three right from wrong. I mean, not at a high level. I'm talking about they know when someone is being dishonest. I mean, that's when you start to learn manipulation and
No,
lying, and
that's true. That's
I mean
100%.
that, yeah. So I just think if you haven't taught some really fundamental things
Yeah.
and poured foundational things into your children by that age, you kind of have an uphill battle from there.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it leads into kind of what we talked about pre-show was the wilderness. I
Uh-huh.
think if that foundation is not built into a child early, you become an adolescent, you become a young adult, and an adult, and then a senior living life in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is just lost. You're always in a dark place, or you're always unsettled. You're always, to your point, always starting things but not finishing things.
Yeah.
Um, which kind of goes back to when we met, those four. Why is that
Yeah.
just all over me right now? That those 4 points that I was talking about from that video, Mark, that we
Uh-huh.
talked about on Saturday when we had on Unbreakable Souls.
Right.
That was so good because those four foundational points, I have to pull that up while we're talking, really lead us into so many other issues of life. And
Yeah.
if we could just conquer those four things, if we could really overcome those four things, man, what kind of people could we be? We could eliminate the wilderness experience. And granted, me, the journey of a warrior, I've been in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So I understand the wilderness, but I've also learned, back to a previous show, Jewels of the Journey. And you
Yep.
knew it was coming. I saw your face. You knew where I was going. There's power in going through the wilderness if your perspective is accurate and right.
Yep.
Because now you have the wherewithal or the sense or the discernment to pick up and to actually see and pick up the jewels of the journey. They stick out. Oh, look at that. What is that over there? What is that over there? But when you don't have that foundation, you go into that journey, uh, into that wilderness journey, everything is dark and you can't see. You're stumbling over a jewel and you think it's a rock or a
Yep.
limb in the ground that's fallen, and it's actually
Yep.
gold or diamonds, and you bypass it.
Yep.
And there's lessons in the wilderness that can only be taught in the wilderness.
Hey, Coach, just along those same lines, because I didn't tell y'all this earlier,
Look
but
at you chewing.
I didn't tell y'all this earlier, but it's very much been on my heart the last couple of days. I actually spoke at a police vigil, a candlelight vigil yesterday, only for about 5 minutes or something like that. It was a vigil for Sonia Massey, that lady that was killed by the police officers. But one of the things that I brought
Oh, that's a hot button
was
for me, bro.
one of the things I brought up was there was too much crime in general and everything. And that's what I wonder is when it comes to the wilderness, how can you get to the wilderness when you've been impacted by the wilderness? Because my heart has been very heavy for the last couple of days and everything. And part of the reason that my heart has been heavy, and I'm sharing this with you, Coach, and Lauren, for the first time on this show, is that a person that I knew for years, he was actually a sound engineer and was involved in some festivals that I was involved in and everything. And he was trying to break up a fight, kind of trying to rescue people, like what happened with you and everything in that incident that you had. But unfortunately, unlike you, he did not survive. He was actually killed and everything along those lines. And then the person took their own life and everything. But he was part of our black on black crime that sometimes happens, or just crime in general and everything. So when that happens, because I know even on my Facebook, a lot of friends have been, shaking their head, stunned by what happened in this particular incident, because he was one of the kindest folks. He had a similar demeanor to me and everything. And ironically, we have the same last name, even though we're not related. And he was part of the horseback club. There's a horse group here, this African American man on horses and everything. He was
That's pretty dope.
one of the founders of that, and all along those lines. But he was at a annual event, an annual, I think, birthday party that was taking place. And what I've heard from secondhand is that he was trying to break up or disrupt the tension that was going on. But at the end, his life wound up being taken, as did the person who shot him, and all along those lines. So that's one of those wilderness moments that a lot of people here in my community are dealing with and everything. So how do you deal with that wilderness when it's happening in that kind of way? And I'm not trying to make the show a downer or anything along those lines, but it was just heavy on my heart. It's been heavy on my heart for the last couple of days and everything, that Greg lost his life in that particular kind of way.
Wow, man, that that one's really hard to even answer, because I think it was what, 2019, when George Floyd was murdered
Yep.
on national TV.
Yep.
Something in me as a black man in America broke. Something inside of me broke, and I've dealt with racism my entire life, especially from police. Um, I can't even say especially police, but because I had it in school. I mean, I could tell you story after story with situations in school, with dating, with the police, in grocery stores, in the mall. I mean, just on and on and on and on, in housing, in employment. But something in me broke in 2019 watching George, just sitting there. I watched it over and over and over for probably 2 days, and it wrecked me. Something in me broke, and I was just like, no more. No more will I be silent on these issues. And if it means my life being taken, so be it, because no more. I can't, as a man, be silent on these issues anymore. So I understand your heart that you're grieving that, because I mean, what black person can't grieve that? And I think what's sad is that I just made that statement. What black person doesn't grieve that, when it should be what person doesn't grieve that? But I say
Yep.
that because there's so much apathy in this country that, oh, well, she probably deserved it, or she did something, or she had a record, or there was a reason. The woman was having an episode and called the police for help and support. And, for our audience to understand, for a black person, in particular, a black woman who's single, to call law enforcement for help speaks to the volume of how dire of a situation she was in. She had to really be scared, jacked up, and had no other help or support for her to call the police, because that don't happen. I can tell you the different times I've gone through things, and one of the last things I'm going to do is call the police, because in my world, I'm a black man in America, but I live in a different world than Lauren lives in.
Yep.
I can't call the police and not then be afraid that my life might be taken. I can't have a burglar come into my home and break in, and I have a gun to defend and protect my family, and law enforcement come and I'm the one that gets shot. Those are things that I have to worry about. I can't drive down the street and pass an officer and we make eye contact. You know how you pass the police and you look at them and they look at you? Most 9 times out of 10, when I turn and make eye contact, that means I'm about to get stopped. So yeah, that situation with her enraged me. But I've pivoted in the journey of a warrior, because it's crazy, because that's not even something I really even talk about in the journey of a warrior. All of what I was going through in my life, in addition to that, raging, I was out there rioting, with downtown in the plaza. I was at all the marches. I had a torn Achilles. I'm in a boot. I'm supposed to be on my butt or my back, and
Yeah,
I'm
you
down
are.
there in with a torn Achilles in a boot, walking miles on the plaza because I had to support the cause.
No, but to your point, and this might even go to Lauren and everything, because one of the other speakers, and like I said, I spoke just probably less than 3 or 4 minutes when I spoke about the incident where my friend was in a conflict with another person and got killed and everything. But one of the things one of the other speakers brought up, even when we think about children, is that a lot of times the elements of folks that are known to be troublemakers are known in the community, whether it's Durham or whether it's Kansas City or whether it's Los Angeles, because we've just recently lost some young people. When I say young people, I'm talking about, I think one of them was 3, and I think the 2-year-old lost their life as well and everything. And they were just victims of the drive-by kind of situation. And so
Yeah,
it's a
we started
shame
the
that
year this year
unfortunately,
with 10.
yeah, yeah, it's a shame that we have these young people that are losing their life and they're not even part of what's going on. But sometimes the gang affiliated folks are known by the community, but they're not held in check. Just like we have to hold the police in check, we have to hold members of our own community in check. And I don't care whether it's a white community or a black community. But I just wonder your take on that, Lauren, because I do think it's something that is too much of a shame of what's going on with our community. That too many folks are losing their lives needlessly, including some folks that even haven't had a chance to live their life. If you're 2 or 3, you haven't even had a chance to really enjoy life as of yet.
No, for sure not.
Such a youngster. She's so wise to be her age, though. That just blows my mind.
Ooh. You know, the world is just too violent. Point blank, period. While you guys were talking about all of this, the one thing that goes through my mind is I love seeing, not that I love how this comes about, obviously, but one thing I talk about a lot is finding the opportunity in difficulty. And it's been, God, I think it might have been a couple of years now. Boy that I grew up with, his older sister and my sister were BFFs. Our parents are still very close. My sister and her name is Lauren too. They are still very close. And like, this is to the point that our parents would go out to dinner or something, and we would go over to each other's house and, eat some pizza and play 007 or Roller Coaster Tycoon or something like that. Anyway,
Sounds fun.
a couple of years ago, my mom calls me and goes, "Hey, I got some news. Want you to know that he was found dead in the apartment today."
Oh, I'm sorry.
And my stomach dropped. I hadn't
Yeah.
seen him in years. But it's never easy to see. I don't care what you say. And, all of a sudden I was like, one of my childhood best friends is no longer here. And one of the biggest things that stabbed me in the gut that day was that probably about a month before that, I hadn't thought about him in a while, and one day he was just on my mind and my heart for days. And I'm like, he doesn't want to hear from me, like, whatever. And so one day I pulled up my phone, don't have his number, but popped him up on Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey,
What's up?"
You were on my heart. Thought I'd, check in, see how you were doing. Just wanted to say hi." And it was probably another couple of days because he is not on social media or anything very much. And, he popped in and, said, "Hi, hey, it looks like you're doing great," all these things. And I was thinking about this earlier today. Honestly, I don't know why. And I was still in a rough spot for myself. But instead, he goes, "Hey, looks like you're doing great." I'm like, and for where I was in my journey, I was doing pretty dang good, but I was still in a rough spot. And I said, yeah, doing pretty good, pretty busy with the boys. Instead of being like, actually I'm in a rough spot. I got some things going on. I'm working through some things, and instead of being honest, and at a time when he probably could have used that, and me being like, I'm in a rough spot too. Like, it's not just you.
Connection.
Be,
Yeah.
because, and here's the kicker, he was struggling with alcoholism, and he passed away from complications. But
Mm,
where I'm going with that is because I couldn't get him off my mind for forever, and went to his funeral, and all I could think of is, what can I do to make his life and this mean something? Like, where can I help?
legacy.
Yes, where can I help bring his legacy to life to help other people, um, understand the mindset that comes with alcoholism, and understand anxiety that comes with addiction. And so there was a girl that said some words at his celebration of life. So I reached out to her randomly and said, "Hey, I was here. Um, I'd love to chat with you," because she was on my heart as well. So I absolutely love when people find opportunity in their difficulty, because on no earth do we want to lose kids, do we want to lose parents, do we want to lose good friends. On no earth do we want to have to do that. But where can you find the opportunity and the difficulty to make their life mean something? And we were talking about, sometimes life is just very dark, and you may, if in the dark, when things get dark suddenly, yeah, can't see a dang thing, can't you? But what happens when you sit there? What happens when you sit in the dark and adjust? What happens when you feel the dark?
Come on, girl.
Your eyes adjust, and you learn to find the gold. You learn to find the jewels that you may see there in the moonlight or the starlight or whatever. You may find those, and all of a sudden you can see where you're going. So where's the opportunity in the difficulty, regardless of how hard it is?
I mean, to your point, I love that because that's where I was headed. I love how in tune we always are, but
Yeah.
to your point, that's what had to happen to me because I was already facing massive trauma, and
Yep.
now this happens, and now rage and hate are
Yeah.
rising up in me because I can't control my emotions going through the trauma.
Yeah.
And that's why I value the wilderness and the darkness now,
Yeah.
because I had to learn to master the darkness and master my emotions and my feelings in the midst of the darkness,
Yep.
to where I pivoted coming out of that. I'm like, okay, I don't want to, society already deems me as an angry black man,
Yep.
and I don't want to be viewed as an angry black man. Anybody that knows me, that's the furthest thing from who I am.
Yep.
They call me Gare Bear at work, at the school. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
no, call me coach. Don't call me Gare Bear. But she's like, everybody just our campus president. She's like, everybody loves you, and there's always crying going on in your office and all that. I'm just like, what? Coach, please. I digress.
Coach, he doesn't want to be Care Bear. He does not want to
Right.
be Care Bear.
No.
Oh,
So, but I learned in that dark moments of time that I had to pivot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that emotion would destroy me. And I reflected on some other great leaders in history. I think about the time that Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King came together, and realizing in that moment of darkness why they had to die. Because Malcolm was violent. He promoted violence, and not necessarily
Yep.
violence. He promoted protection.
right.
That eye for an eye. You hurt my son, I'm going to hurt your son. So he didn't say go out and do violence, but if violence is brought to you, bring it back to them. Um, I think Martin Luther King was too much to his side, where let's turn the other cheek and turn. I'm like, I only got two cheeks. How many cheeks I got to turn? Unless you even throw my butt cheeks in there too. It's only four. Okay, I made it. G. I mean, I took the rating up today, um, but no, I had to pivot coming out of that and be like, no, where do I find the silver lining here? So I started to look at when they came together, Malcolm X and
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Martin Luther King came together. They realized how much they needed each other. They realized the power of unity, the power of love, of righteousness. This country, if it's going to change, we need a revolution of righteousness.
Yep.
Righteousness.
Yep.
It can't be blacks against whites or all the craziness that's going on. We need righteousness. That we call a spade a spade. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Right.
Hold yourself accountable. There doesn't have to be death condemnation of that. If you do something wrong, hold that person accountable and we move forward. There's forgiveness that comes with that. There's reconciliation that comes with that. So there's just so many things that I just learned. I'm like, that's the legacy that Lauren was talking about that I wanted to leave on this earth, in that space of advocacy for my race. I didn't want to be another angry black man. And I hate that, being termed that, because I think we have every right to be angry, and we're not angry, but you can only take so much. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
There's a good tired, but Coach, that's what I was asking, because that's what the gentleman, I think his name was Rafiq, and I might get him to come on to the shows, maybe even this show and everything. But that's one of the things that he was arguing, is that too often we know the culprits and we know the folks that are less than righteous, for lack of a better term, and we are sometimes afraid to hold them accountable. I mean, because of afraid of the consequences. You're a coach and you're also a teacher, so you know that sometimes teachers are afraid to actually discipline their kids because they're afraid of the response, both from the community as well as the parents and everything. So I just wanted your take, because that's kind of where Rafiq was going, was that even sometimes when you know the people that are the guilty parties, you don't want to call them out because you don't want to be called, quote unquote, a rat, and all along those lines. So I just wanted your take on how we can get people to understand that to be righteous means to be brave as well.
Well, that's again one of the defining words, Warren Lauren, when you agree with that, of being a misfit.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to have to stand on an island on your own in some
Right.
spaces. And some things is you're going to take a stance that's unpopular against society, against the norm,
Yep.
and you're going to be ostracized for that. But in true misfit managed nation format, that's what's required of us. That's what sets us apart. That is what makes us exceptional and
You
great.
took it.
Come on, Carol. I know you
took
got
it.
more. I see you chewing on it. Chew. Go. Come on. Spit it out. Spit it out.
The exceptional.
Well, I'm thinking, I mean, yeah, we are meant to be going against the grain, and in a world full of people that will not throw caution to the wind, go against the grain and speak out, there are people who have to be like, you know what? Again, naked middle of Times Square, wherever, come at me. What are you gonna do? Like,
Oh, you probably get arrested for that, Lauren.
Yeah, well, let's do this. But somebody has to be the exception. Somebody has to be the voice, or who's gonna do it? And if not, dark will take over. Some people have to learn to be the light. People have to learn to be the lighthouse.
Oh, I like that.
Well, so this.
Oh man, that speaks to me.
So here we go. I'm gonna dig into that for a minute because.
Please, that's rich.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, when I was very first kind of really getting deep into my little journey here, it ain't little. you know, I was all about the having to fix people because I could see that it needed to happen. And somebody said to me, you know, instead of being the tugboat, going to pull each individual person in and having to expend all the energy, do all the work, and having to do all of that, what are lighthouses for? They stand tall, they stand bright at the edge, they shine that damn light as bright as it will blindingly go, and they are there, and every boat in the harbor can see where they need to go.
They save lives.
They save lives. So you stand, and it is, I mean, let's face it, everybody right now is like, be the light. And as much as it may be a little bit cliche sometimes, if you are, as we talk about a lot on this show, being true to you, if you are being true to standing honestly strong and sturdy in who you are, what you need to do, where you're supposed to be, shine it, because all the people in the harbor need you to be that light.
And they don't even realize how badly they need it.
They don't realize it, which is frustrating. But
And Jennifer's got a comment as well. Let's see what Jennifer's got to say and everything along those lines.
she says,
Yeah.
That's good. Love that so much. Stand tall and be the light that contributes to shine in the darkness. That is what it takes. And it takes an army of lighthouses. So people, be the exception and be the light. Okay, I'm off myself.
No, girl, you gotta stay on that box, man.
But speaking of being an exception and being the rule, I think Coach knows this because it's in my, well, you should know it too. It's in my email, but I have not been listening as much as I used to and need to get back to my old habits and everything. But I am a blues fan. And if you are a blues fan, you know that one of blues' cousins is country music. And another commercial I saw today that kind of played to our conversation because ageism can be very real as well. So I saw a joke because I didn't know that Reba McEntire can be as funny as she is, because apparently she's getting ready to start a new TV show, like a regular TV show, kind of like Dolly Parton has done. But there was a line where she is saying, I think the lady is becoming friends with her and saying that she's glad to have a friend that is old enough to be her mother. And the line that Reba comes back at is, you don't understand. This is Tennessee. I'm old enough to be your great grandmother and everything along those lines. So I was like, good point, good line.
I just heard that.
Yeah. You just heard that commercial?
I want to say this morning somewhere I just heard that.
Yeah, it's the commercial that's running because I think it's going to come out sometime this fall and everything along those lines. But yeah,
I was cracking up at that.
yeah, I cracked up when I heard it. I was like, good comeback and everything. But on a lighter note, just like that was lighter because we've been having a very heavy conversation. I was going to say about how sometimes Providence can be very interesting as well. Because I mentioned to you, Coach, and I think I told you, Lauren, when we first came on, that I went last weekend to the International Black Theater Festival. Wish I had been able to go for the entirety because it's always a fun event. This is their 18th version, so they've been around for 36, 37 years because of COVID is why I'm trying to remember whether it's 36 or 37 and everything. But I ran into a longtime friend of mine who was, and y'all will get a kick out of this story, he's engaged. He's about to be married for the third time. So he just proposed to his wife to be his professor at North Carolina Central University and everything. But they met online on one of those social websites, whether it was eHarmony or Tinder or whatever. But this is the kick that y'all are going to enjoy. And maybe y'all can talk about how this plays into the Misfits conversation. They met online and then they met in person. When they met in person, they realized that they served on the usher boards together. It's from the same church. And she was in the morning service or like the 8 o'clock service. He was in the 8 o'clock service, but they did not know that until after they met online. So it's one of those destiny kind of things and everything.
Sounds like alignment to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like what?
Alignment to me.
Alignment. It totally is alignment. So like I said, they met, and when they got to talking, they were like, you go to what church? She's like, I go to that church too. You do what? And so they served on the usher boards, but at different times. So they already were aligned, but they didn't even realize that they were aligned and destined to meet each other until social media came in there and put them together when They should have met, you would think, in the church, the same church that they go to every time, but it was social media that got them together and everything. So I know y'all talked about alignment and how that plays into Misfits, because I think Ken Hinton, and I can't remember his fiance's name if he even told me, but I would say that they probably fit in our Misfits club as well and everything. But just y'all's thoughts around how alignment and providence can play into our conversations as well.
You want to take this? Or you want me to?
Go ahead, girl. Before you
All
go,
right.
though, I'm hoping Shannon is still on, because I know I would love for her to spit some things out real quick about the journey of the wilderness. You know, being in that dark place.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, because I know she's going to have some rich stuff to say about that. But go ahead, Lauren.
I will say that I think alignment brings the Misfits together, whether no matter what kind of relationship it is, to be honest. It brought Coach G and I together. It's brought a lot of people together, and I mean, I think it's hilarious because so Hubs and I grew up 4 hours apart, right? Like, why on earth would we ever meet each other? And so when we were, I think it was middle school or so age, we were both born and raised Catholic, and we went to NCYC, National Catholic Youth Conference, in either Houston or Dallas. I don't remember which one, but we were both there at the same time. Tons of people. So, and you know, we're how old? So not really concerned about anything else. And then I think it was New York. I went to New York with my parents and my cousin for, I think it was my senior trip, because why would I go with everybody else? I wanted to go to New York. Turns out at some point right there, he was there as well. Then, so my original major in college was bakery science, because I used to love to cook and bake and do all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Why not? Why would I not go do that as a career? Well, that's in the agriculture school. So I ended up going potluck on my dorm. Lived in a co-ed dorm on a co-ed floor with all suites. Went potluck with my roommates, and I ended up being on the floor with football players on one end, or on one side, across from me, agriculture, and engineers. How you put that together as a college, I don't know.
That's some diversity right there, boy.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that my roommates were fine. He got placed 3 different times before he got placed randomly on our dorm floor. And how we were all those places and then ended up on the same dorm floor to meet each other, to which we didn't even start dating for another year and a half. And I think it just kind of draws you together. And the thing that got us originally talking was somehow we started talking about skydiving. I don't know. Just random. Yeah. And I think it's little things like that we were just like, wait, you were there too? You were in Houston? Wait, you were also here? And we were just like, oh, just wait. We probably have a picture or something together from one of those events that we didn't even know about. But I think it's just things like that, you know, you just kind of gently gravitate toward each other until one day you start piecing it all together and you're like, holy crap, how did that happen?
That's good.
I like that. That's very powerful.
Your turn.
Oh, well, you know me, I'm big on alignment.
I know you are.
Alignment is a game changer. Lauren, I know what you're. Oh my God, you're so bad, girl. But yeah, alignment is literally a game changer. It brings I would say it opens and closes doors.
Yeah.
It closes doors. You have a worldview or viewpoint of certain situations and things that you think is a good path, but when you meet someone that you're in true alignment with, man does, back to your point of the lighthouse, man does things become so illuminated for you at that point. It's just unbelievable. So that alignment is just insane. It just, you see clearer, you hear clearer. The creativity in you comes out, the love and the passion in you comes out. Alignment is just powerful. I can't say enough about alignment.
Speaking of alignment being powerful, we've got about another 10 minutes, and hopefully that person you wanted will chime in, or maybe they'll chime in a future show and everything. As I told y'all at the beginning, I've been watching the Olympics, and actually, ironically, I just decided, just out of curiosity, because there are 200 and something countries every year that compete in the Olympics, to find out how many countries don't have a gold medal at all, and two countries finally broke that record, because I think St. Lucia and it might be Dominica are now Olympic have an Olympic medal to their count, but there's still like 50 plus countries that don't have an Olympic count. So I'm just wondering, because sometimes people think of athletes, coach, I see he's got off, so he might have had to answer a call. Some of you've got some thoughts around this, as well as a mother and everything. But sometimes people think of athletes as not being misfits. But I'm thinking, when I'm watching some of these athletes, whether it's the field hockey or the volleyball or soccer or some of the other sports that I've been watching, some of them seems like they would fit in totally into the misfit category and all along those lines. So I was just wondering your take on that, as to whether athletes or many of the athletes are misfits. So I'm thinking, if you go into a country, or you are representing the country every year, and you don't even think that you're going to win, that is definitely a category of a possible misfit, because you're going in because you are wanting to be part of a greater project, whatever that is, and all along those lines. And that to me sounds like a quality of a misfit. There might be some others that are guaranteed to be thought of as winners, like Simone Biles and others. But what is
Yeah.
your take on this notion of athletes as misfits? Because I'm thinking many of the athletes are misfits, whether they want to admit it or not.
Well, I would say it depends on the person.
Right.
I have always been an athlete. Uh, Coach G, wherever he has gone, is an athlete, obviously. And that kind of, to me, brings up the point of, when people are on a national stage, we tend to put them on like a superhuman pedestal. Oh, Coachy back. I was just saying, of course, it depends on the person who is the misfit, because you and I are both athletes.
We're both what?
Athletes.
Athletes.
Mm-hmm.
The coach, what I was asking Coach G before you had the technology glitch, was I had looked online to see how many countries, and it's 50 plus, even though two just recently won, St. Lucia and Dominica. But I'm thinking that most of these athletes I'm watching, including sports that I was not that familiar with, like field hockey and handball, that a lot of these athletes in a lot of ways are misfits. So I was asking Lauren, but I was asking you as well, but then the computer glitched and everything. Am I correct in thinking that a lot of these thousands of athletes that are on the Olympic stage are actually misfits in their own way, or their own kind of unique journey that they are going on?
Well, go ahead and answer what you're finishing up, Lauren. I'll jump into that.
You know, I mean, it's like an actor when they're on a national, international stage, and when you are watching them do something at a higher level, we as a society, or heck, world, automatically put them on a pedestal that somehow classifies them as superhuman. And we forget that they are people as well. We forget that they are individuals, that they, um, you know, when they went to high school, they went to grade school. I mean, you look at, we're in Kansas City, so I'm going to use this as an example. Um, Eric Stone Street went to K-State, as did I. Paul Rudd is from Kansas City.
Shawnee Mission West Viking is what he is.
Oh, is he? I
2
didn't know
years ahead
that.
of me. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I got some stories about him.
Oh, I bet you do. Jason Sudeikis is from
Viking.
it. Seriously? Dang. Dang Northwest people over here. Gone to West. I knew a lot of people from the West.
Sorry.
Yeah,
West was the
sorry.
powerhouse, so
Yeah,
sorry.
whatever. Anyway, I think we forget that these people are still human, that they are still people. And I was doing research for other things and found out I was looking up celebrities with that are neurodiverse because I wanted to humanize them a little bit. And speaking of our superstar gymnast, Miss Simone Biles herself is neurodiverse. She has ADHD, and she was talking about how it's okay to be on medication, all of that kind of stuff. And we saw her at the last Olympics do what she needed to do for herself and drop out of a global stage to take care of herself. I think every one of them, depending on the individual, absolutely they are misfits.
I'm 100% in agreement with that because I mean, who wants to go through what they are going through? It's much easier just to fit into the norms of society.
Yeah.
Who wants to set themselves apart and go through all that training? Mark, we had just talked about this Saturday on Unbreakable Souls. One of the most powerful quotes I think out there is Usain Bolt, that talked about I trained for 4 years to run 9 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to sign up for that? If
Well,
you're not a misfit, who are you? The normal.
but speaking of misfits, the woman that has shattered swimming records and everything along those lines, I hope that I don't butcher her last name, but Katie Ledecky has basically swam around the
Oh
world.
yeah.
Still
Yeah.
talking about doing it again, but if you go with her training and the competition, she's literally swam around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think those are also the people that say, it may not make sense, but here we go. I'm doing it anyway. They
Misfits
decide
are
to
world
do it.
changers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Misfits are world changers. They're CEOs, they're managers, they're leaders, because they think outside the box. I mean, and some of us are dysfunctional because we got some bad leaders in that, but it's you still got to honor the misfit in them,
Yeah.
that they step outside the box and go against the societal norms. So from
Yeah.
that perspective, I got to honor them, and you got to have some integrity, some character built into that, because Bishop Jakes used to say, because normally when you're a misfit and you get to that level, that means more money in your pocket. But
Yeah.
Bishop Jakes used to say, money just makes you more of what you already are.
money
Now
can
put
be money can
put
be a
that in
word.
perspective. If you're a fool, now you're just a fool with some money.
Yeah, well, money can be a very interesting thing and everything along those lines. If you look up, and there are a number of ones you mentioned, T.D. Jakes, of course. There's Oral Roberts, and there are a bunch of other ones. But there are a lot of powerful mega churches and everything. And right here in North Carolina, we've got one of those mega churches. I think it's World Overcomers, and the gentleman that ran and got lots of millions and got lots of houses and everything. But he's in the middle because it just came out in our news of a very messy divorce case and all along those lines. So his wife, or the
World
first lady, is about to take
overcomers.
millions of dollars in terms of the settlement and everything. But it's going to be even kind of a tumultuous situation in that particular megachurch, because it is very much of a megachurch here in the community. So I can only imagine, even though I have friends that go to that church, what the fallout is going to
I'm
be
trying to.
from the divorce.
Why do I know World Overcomers? Who's the pastor of that?
Andy Thompson, Pastor Andy Thompson.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
But
I don't know him.
it's an international church, so
Okay.
you might have seen them online or things along those lines, because it is definitely an international church. They have an international presence on YouTube and a number of other places. But yeah, they're going through and they've been together. And I don't know, we were talking about kids earlier. They have kids. Fortunately, their kids, I think, are all adult kids, but they may have grandkids as well. So when divorces happen, that can be, and particularly when there are divorces of powerful people and all along those lines, that
Yeah.
can be a very much of a misfit conversation as well, because they've got to
Yeah.
figure out how they're going
It's
to.
messy and ugly.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of pastors as misfits. I mean, who wants to step into an occupation like that? That in most cases you're underpaid and overworked,
Mhm.
and it comes with a great cost.
Yep.
So most pastors don't reach that mega church status. They do it because they love it and they're called to it.
Absolutely.
No doubt
Well,
about that and everything. I'm gonna let the two of you close it out as we get ready to got to the hour mark. You didn't know what the show was gonna be. I'm glad I was able to come up with some funny jokes, even though I didn't go down that path that you said I go down too often and everything. Coach, I left it alone this time and everything. So we kept it G-rated this time.
Coach didn't keep it rated. He was talking about butt cheeks.
Well, I mean, we got it. The word says turn your cheek. I mean, I'm like, which one, Lord?
You're doing 360s over here. Face cheeks, butt cheeks. Let's,
Right, right. I'm
yeah.
like, okay, I've given them all my cheeks now. Now I need to see some change.
Well, what would you close out with talking about being and living in the wilderness?
Well, yeah, I know we kind of got sidetracked off of that,
Yeah,
but yeah,
squirrels.
we're gonna have to come back to that because I think that is such a powerful topic
Yeah.
to speak into because um, I don't know, people are afraid of the wilderness, and really, it's an experience that I would venture to say we all go through at
Yeah.
some point in our life, and maybe even multiple times in life.
Yeah.
And I think we have to understand that it can be powerful. It can be very powerful. There can be lessons learned there that you won't learn anywhere else. And as we talked about earlier, there's jewels in the journey of the wilderness. I
Yep.
think God is just strategic in how he does that.
Well, and I mean, it's kind of like you said. And honestly, I think some of the biggest, most profound lessons come from the wilderness when you're willing to take the blindfold off that
Right,
most people wear into it.
right,
Because most people want the flashlight
right.
instead of letting their eyes adjust and figuring out how to feel their way through.
Yeah. Yeah. And just it's okay not to be okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to be afraid. That
Yeah.
doesn't make you less of a misfit or less of a man or a woman to be afraid. You can't engage courage and bravery if you don't have the presence of fear. So it's a necessary evil to bring out a strong good point in you. You need that counterbalance. So I don't know. I don't I enjoy. I mean, I won't say I always enjoy, but I don't fear darkness. I don't fear the wilderness like I used to.
I would agree. And, every once in a while, I I get to a new corner of the wilderness, and once again, I gotta slow down.
That's good. That's
Gotta
good.
slow down, and I gotta feel my way around. And sometimes you gotta slow down and put your arms out and feel where the walls are, feel where the trees are. But I mean, if you if you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and get a drink of water or whatever you're doing, half the time, or if you're in a hotel room that you don't know, you put your
Hmm.
arms out to feel where the furniture is so you don't trip over it or ram into a wall. But you sit there for a couple minutes and your eyes adjust. So
Hmm.
sometimes you're in a new spot, you're in a hotel room that you've never been in before, and you got to feel it out. You got to slow down and feel it out instead of being in your house where you can you can walk through it by heart quickly and get to where you need.
Right. I love
Got to
that.
feel it out.
I love that. It makes me think of my dad when he was in his last few years and he was blind
Yeah.
and he had to feel this way, but he had mastered that. At the beginning, it was horrible for him, but he mastered it to the point where he knew where everything was, the number of steps to this place or that place in the house.
Yep.
I just would sit back and watch him get up from the couch and go to the bathroom from the living room, um, or the hearth room in the kitchen to his bedroom, which was on the opposite end of the house, with no
Yep.
help or support.
Yeah.
Go do his business, come back and sit down on the couch. I'd be like, dang.
Yeah.
So,
So I'd say get used to the wilderness and embrace it.
well, another good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of had to pivot a little bit in that, and I know,
We pivoted well, I think.
yeah, yeah. We always do. I mean, I think we do that because we speak from our heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we're not putting on some mask to try to impress anybody. We just are genuine and speak from our heart. So,
Yeah, we went from something planned tonight to hopping on and saying, we have no idea what we're talking about, but let's do this.
right. But
Yeah.
we want everybody out there to know that we did have structure for tonight. We had a guest speaker, and things happened, and wasn't able to make that work. But we honor you guys and the commitment we've made, not only to each other, but
Yep.
to you guys. So we're gonna always show up.
Yep.
We're gonna always show up. We're always gonna have something that's relevant for us to discuss that we hope and pray is helpful to you. So,
Yep.
thank
Absolutely.
thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Gary.
On out of here and everything along those lines. I was actually just seeing something that I'm trying to understand, because apparently our local mayor is delaying the program for at-risk youth and everything, because that was some of the things he said he was going to do, but I guess he's delaying it, and hopefully he's got some reason for delaying it, but he's got me concerned, but I'll try to figure it out and all along those lines. But we'll get out of here with some mental health PSA and all along those lines. But yeah, it was another good conversation. Glad I was able to pop in as I do sometimes and help along, and definitely a great conversation. And y'all actually helped me, because like I said, it was a hard day. It's been a hard couple of days. It's been going on with the loss of Greg, who was a pioneer here in this area in the entertainment world and all along those lines. So definitely I appreciate y'all's words of encouragement, and even words for what happened with Sonia Massey and all along those lines. But we're going to get on out of here. But it's been a very powerful conversation I felt today. So
your boy, Coach G.
And Lauren.
Yep, and their producer Mark, and get ready to get on out of here.
We are sending you signals every day.
We are sending you signals every day.
We're sending you signals every day.
We're sending you signals every day.
I'll be feeling sad, but you're too busy to notice.
We are sending you signals every day.
I'll tell you that I'm feeling afraid,
but you'll just tell me everything's okay.
I'll get real angry about something, but you'll take it personally.
We are sending you signals every day. My grades will drop,
and you'll yell at me for not trying.
I stopped caring about how I look,
and you didn't even notice.
We are sending you signals every day.
I don't see my friends anymore.
And you think it's good that I'm always home.
We are sending you signals every day.
I'll tell you, I wish I could go to sleep and never wake up.
And you tell me to stop staying up so late.
We are sending you signals every day.
I need you to look.
I need you to listen.
And ask me if you can help.